So you've already heard some folks talk about what happened this weekend. I want to share a scripture passage that's going to lead into us hearing about that this morning. There's a time when Jesus revealed who he really was, the Messiah, the Christ. And I want to read from chapter 4 in Luke. The scripture passage is Luke 4:14 through 21. Jesus returned to Galilee in the power of the Spirit, and news about him spread through the whole countryside, and he taught in their synagogues, and everyone praised him. So he went to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue. In other words, went to church. Right? And as was his custom, and he stood up to read, and the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was handed to him. And unrolling it, he found the place where this was read. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners, recovery of sight for the blind, to release the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. And then he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down, and the eyes of everyone in the synagogue was fastened on him. And he began by saying to them, "Today this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing." He was reading a passage from Isaiah about God's person, the Messiah, and Jesus said, "That's me." But look at what he described as the Messiah being: a person who gives sight to the blind, who releases the captives, who takes care of the poor. And there is so much that Jesus talks about where we're just to, just read it and just to go out and do it. And a lot of it has to do with taking care of the needs of those around us. That's part of what was going on this weekend. I'm going to have, I don't even know who's coming up or how they're doing that, but they're going to share with you part of their story. And but I just wanted us to understand that in the big picture of for us as Christians and God's purpose for our lives, it wasn't about one weekend. And it's not even about just our youth. This is about us fulfilling God's purposes here every day. Not just as youth, but as adults, as little children. And where to take care of the people around us, to show and demonstrate God's love. And so that was happening this weekend. But it's not just a weekend deal. It's a lifestyle that God calls you and I to. Who's coming on up?
All right, so like George said, everybody's just going to really quickly tell their little piece of the story of how their weekend went and what happened. But before everybody says that, I just wanted to say one thing. I just really wanted to thank everybody that helped, from even the smallest thing of maybe a donation or of money, or a donation of the items we asked for our service project, all the way down to cooking our food, serving us our food, and cleaning up after us because we were too exhausted to move. I've never been a part of a 30-hour famine that's been this church-wide. I came from a church where 30-hour famine was, oh, that's youth stuff, we don't get involved, and let them do it their own. And for the past 3 years, I've taken over the portion of leading the 30-hour famine so that my mom wouldn't have to. And this year, I just wanted to thank Zach. He took on leading 30-hour famine with me this year. It was a pretty hefty task. And but everything just made this 8th one for me the best year ever.
Who wants to go next?
All right, I gotta say, last year wasn't as good as this year. This year there was so much. It was so much participation from everybody, and it was just mind blowing how everybody, just as a church as a whole, just came and helped us out. So we'd just like to thank you all for that. I mean, if you could give yourself a round of applause, that'd be awesome. And this year, as helping Jess out with 30-hour famine, I just like to thank her because she did an amazing job, and I don't know how she did for 8 years.
Hi, you guys all know me. I'm Casey. It's my 2nd year doing 30-hour famine, and I have to agree with Broski. It was a lot better than it was last year. especially the fact that last year, it being the first time for everyone, it was so much harder to go 30 hours without eating. Everyone, about halfway, 3/4 of the way through, everyone was hungry and they wanted to eat. Yet this year, everyone, by the time we got to the food, no one was hungry. And we were all just extremely exhausted from playing all the wonderful games that Jess put together for us.
I didn't do it. 30 hour famine did it.
Shh. So I'd just like to thank everyone for helping out and everyone who participated this year. It was a great year, and I'd like to see another one next year.
Yeah, this is my second year doing the 30-hour famine too, and well, I was hungry. But it never stops hitting me. Like, the first year was great, and this year did go a lot better, but even both years just hit me every single time. Because it's just astonishing how many people are out there, how many people we could help, and we don't even know. So I love doing this every single year. And like, the bonding experience we have as a group here alone, outside of helping these kids, is phenomenal. It's priceless. And there's no amount of money in the world that we could raise that would make me feel better than now. But yeah, it definitely hits you hard. But I definitely agree with Matt. Those 3 minutes, 26 children. I'm talking for 3 minutes right now. So 26 children in 3 minutes, I mean, that hits you hard. And the fact that, I don't know whether I was a person myself pretending to be with a disability there, but it's hard enough with a disability, and to know that in just a couple of minutes, 26 of those kids with those disabilities died. I mean, it's astonishing. It opens my eyes, and I could never change this priceless experience. And thank you for the adults. I mean, you supported us, you were there for us, and more importantly, you made us food. That was great food, but
yes, it was.
But it was an astonishing experience, and I could never live an experience like that ever again.
This is the first time I've ever done 30-hour famine, and I wasn't really sure like what was going to happen, what we were going to do. And then afterwards, like once we started, I wasn't really hungry. Like we were too focused on everything that we were doing, and it really put into perspective like how much all those kids go through.
This is my second time doing 30-hour famine, and I just think it's amazing. It's an amazing thing to be a part of, because it puts into perspective, like Nora said, what the kids go through, and just being able to help them in the way that we do is really cool. And also helping people around the world, but then helping people in our own backyard with the boxes that we handed out was really cool, because you had the ability to talk to and like see the people that you were directly helping. So it was just really cool to be a part of.
Well, I'm Brittany, and this is this is the third year I've done it. Last year I did it on my own, so this year when I did it with other people, it was a different experience, I guess I would say. But one thing that was really cool for me was I was taking pictures of everything, and I was uploading them onto Instagram. And for people who like don't know what that is, it's kind of like Facebook, it's just pictures. Like you just put pictures on there. And so I uploaded a picture of our service project boxes, and the words 30-hour famine were written in the middle. And the 30-hour famine planning team saw it, and they asked if they could like use it one year. And I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And it was really cool to like, you know, I was uploading all these pictures of us like doing our thing, like we're some like little church from Warwick, Rhode Island, but like this big organization saw it. So that was really cool and exciting. And I made a lot of new friends. Like in my tribe group, I was with people that I knew, but I wasn't really like super close to. And so when you have to like play a game with them and like have to actually like talk to them and stuff, you get like, you start to form a relationship. So that was cool.
Like I said, I've been doing it for a while, and we watched a video that we hadn't seen before. And I've always heard about, you know, people in Africa, they don't have water, they have to walk to get their water. But this video was about this woman who had gone there, and she met a woman, and she decided to take the journey for this particular woman. I forgot her, Sabina. Yeah. To see what she went through. Apparently they need to do this twice a day to get enough water to deal with their food and their taking baths and cleaning clothes, things like that. And I always thought, all right, well, I know they have to go get their water from the river, blah, 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 but I thought they were a lot closer than they really were. This group of people that lived together lived over an hour from where the water hole was. So it was an hour there, and then the time it took them to collect the water, and then an hour back, never mind all the obstacles they went through. And they carried a 75-pound jug container on their back on the way back. And they did that twice a day. And it really just kind of struck me like, wow, I really thought they lived right near the water. So really put into perspective for me, we're all rushing around, worrying about, spend time with our kids, go to work, go to all the things we got to do in a day. And all these people have time for in a 12-hour being awake day is to go get water, do their chores, go get water, go back, find some food, and go to sleep. There is no, that's it. So that kind of really struck for me.
I was with Nora and Grace, and we had our service project boxes, our gift boxes that we took out, and we took our box, and I'm sure a lot of you have driven past Rhode Island Mall down by CCRI and seen people standing on the corner with a sign saying, I'm homeless, I'm looking for money. And as we drove up and we were going to give our box out, there was a gentleman standing on the corner, and we kind of had to, we were watching the light and trying to time it and hoping that we were going to be able to catch him when the light was red. And we were able to get his attention. We were 5 or 6 cars back, but we were able to get his attention, and he came running down to the car, and Nora was behind me, so I rolled down her window so that she could hand her box out to him, and he was just so grateful. He said to us, God bless us, for what we had given to him. And as we drove up Old Hill Road and turned around to come back down the other way to try to find somebody else. He saw us again, and he waved, and he said, God bless you again. And it was so moving for me, but it was also so moving for the kids to see that what they were really doing was making an impact on somebody, that it was really appreciated. And that was it was a wonderful experience. And last year I was the one with a couple of others that prepared their meal, so I didn't participate in 30-hour famine with the kids last year, and I was so glad this time that I was able to do that with them.
I just want to pause for a second, because I think that a couple of times now I've heard a service project, and I'm guessing some of you out there have no idea what that means. And so we need to explain that. So, and the reason I want to explain is because when you know that we have an evangelism team, and we are planning an event for hopefully every month this year. We have 6 planned. We already did 3, this being the 3rd one. And so when the evangelism team met, we tried to figure out what would be a good, I guess, event around this time of the year. And Michelle told us that Jess was thinking about doing something for 30-hour famine. And we heard what that was, and we thought that was wonderful. And we said, well, we're going to take that on as an evangelism team event and help that from that perspective. So what the service project really is in the box is right there. Could you show the box, please? So Jess's idea was that have you guys ever driven around and seen a homeless person with a sign that says, I need help, give me money, give me food, whatever? Have you ever seen that before? Okay. Yes. Congregation responses are very good at this point. Thank you. Thank you. So have you ever thought to yourself, what do I do in that kind of situation? Yes. Okay, good. So,
maybe something.
Thank you very much for participating.
What do you do with the kids? Any examples of what you do? Anybody want to share what they do?
Well, I don't know if we have that kind of time. So what we said was, well, and it was really, I want to say again, it was just as I dare. And how amazing is that we have a 12th grader that is coming up with these great ideas for the rest of us at church to adopt and execute. So thank you again, Jess, for that. But anyways, so we have this dilemma. Do we give them money? What are they going to do with the money? We know that some of them will take that money and turn it around for drugs. We know that. That's statistical. We know people that have done it, you know, with stories one after the other. So do you give them money? Maybe not. Would you like to give them food? Sure, but what do? Get them in your car and drive to McDonald's or something? Yeah. Or Burger King, for those of you that like Burger King instead? You know, what do? Would you do that? That'd be a little scary. You don't even know the people. So what we created was a box to have in the car, to be able to drive around for the service project yesterday, to be able to give out to the homeless people, or people who we think, which is scary, because what if they're not homeless and you approach them and they're insulted because you're calling them homeless and they're not homeless? So that's a little tricky. So so here's the box, and we have some extra. This is why I'm pausing right now, because we have some extra boxes downstairs in Adams Hall.
A lot of them need to be filled, though.
Added
to.
I'm sorry?
A lot of them just need to be added to.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. Thanks. So the boxes that are left over, we brought back here because we really want you guys, as the congregation, as our church, to have this project live on. So we're seating you with a box. But after that box is gone, it's on your own. We're not going to keep giving you boxes, but we're hoping and praying that you'll go get a shoebox, fill it with some supplies. The examples are in the boxes that are downstairs. And that the next time you're driving around and somebody has a sign or somebody's asking you for money or food, you can say, I think very nicely from God, that, well, I don't have any money on me, but if you're looking for food, I do have something for you. I do have a care package or a goodie box or whatever you want to call it. Let me give that to you. You're interested in that. And then you just give them the box. So this is something that doesn't end this weekend. That's the point. It started this weekend. We don't want it to end this weekend. So what I'd like to do is stop talking for a second and ask anybody that had a great experience, and I say great, not good or bad. I say great because even the bad experiences are great because we learn from them. Anybody that on the service project yesterday that has a story to share with you guys.
Well, I was with Ken, Danny, Missy, and Zach. And we went to, what was it? Kennedy Plaza. And while there, as soon as we got out of the car, a man actually came up to us and started asking us if we had any food or any money. And we handed him the box. And he actually pointed out to us, yeah, that guy over there, he also needs something like this. Thank you very much. And he was really grateful for that. And we went over there, and actually, we learned some things. A woman came up to us, and she looked like she didn't need the box, but she ended up taking one from us. So it was kind of bad, but it wasn't all too bad because she probably would have given it to someone else who needed it. So in the end, it was a good thing. And while driving around, we met a really nice woman, and she actually told us, "God bless you," and she said, "Oh, why don't you bring your church down so you guys can play music and preach and have a nice little group?" And she was really kind, and she actually pointed out to us this man that was walking down the street, and he had scruffy clothes on. He was carrying suitcases and bags, and we went up to him and we were asking him if he knew anyone that needed it, and he kind of backed away from us, like he was afraid of us or if he didn't want what we had for him. And so Danny was kind of upset because she really wanted to give her box to him. But then after a while, we found someone else who really needed it, and she was really happy to hand it off. But then we were stuck with Missy and her box. So we were stuck with that.
She did.
And we actually went near the Macaulay house, near the playground, and we stayed there for a while. And when we were on our way there, Missy pointed out that she saw a man with a suitcase sleeping on one of the benches near the playground. So what we did when we left was Ken, Missy, and Zach went over there, and Missy kind of woke the guy up because he was sleeping.
Get up.
And they asked him, and she actually was able to hand her box over to him, and it was really good. We ended up handing out all of our boxes to everyone that was in need, and it was actually a really great experience to be able to walk around and help somebody.
Well, that's kind of how I felt when I had Matt and his girlfriend Stephanie that we adopted from Massachusetts when we went to Amherst, and we had Brittany. So I was really nervous. We had our 4 boxes, and everybody kind of had a specific location, and I kind of ended up with, well, why don't you drive around and find a place? Let's find somebody. So we started, I went all the way down Elmwood Avenue and didn't see anybody. Crossed over a very interesting street over to Eddy Street and went across Rhode Island Hospital. And I knew some people were going in that area, so I was trying not to, cross territories. But there was a woman standing on the corner. She was aiming the other way. It was a one-way street, and I'm like, she's got a sign. So she was our first person. We had to literally drive all the way around in a big circle to get to her, but she was our first that we gave it away. And it was kind of emotional for me because she kind of reminded me of my sister when my sister was in a really bad situation. So we gave it, and she was like, oh, God bless you, thank you so much. And so we kept going, and we ended up in India Point, and we had to get out of the car to do that, and he was very grateful, and we gave him his. Then I ended up all the way down towards Pawtucket, didn't see anybody, came back up North Main, and saw somebody who was standing there that hadn't been there before, so we did that, and I was like, oh, we're not going to get, we had to come back to the church. We were done by that point. I'm like, I was really disappointed because we weren't going to get rid of them all. But on the way back, there was somebody else at an intersection we had been through before, right near the hospital, and we gave that last one away. But when I got back, I was really surprised, because I'm like, we're not going to get rid of 30 boxes today. There can't be that many people out there to stand at it. It's the weekend. We got rid of all of them. We handed all of them out. So I was, that's a good thing, could be a bad thing, but just a statement of, it's right here, right in our backyard. And this is one of the notes. All the kids wrote notes. We had them write it just not too generic, but kind of generic note from themselves to whoever they were given their box. And I don't know who wrote this, but it says, smile, today is a new day. I hope this makes things a little easier. So there were all, some kids wrote scripture and stuff like that. So it was just something a little personal to put in the box for them.
I went with Debbie Goman and Gomain. Sorry, I can't say her last name. And Jonathan, Crawford. All right, we were all in one car, and our first target was this really sweet man who was around the Rhode Island Hospital, and he had a sign that said "God bless." So Debbie at first didn't know what to say to him, and then she saw his sign, and she was just glad that she could say "God bless you," just wish you the best. And her face, I couldn't tell you how much her face lit up when she handed him that box. And when we were started to drive away, she was just. I thought she was going to cry. And then I was like, me and Jonathan, we turned around looking in the back to see if the guy was opening the box because we were driving away. And we really just wanted to see him open the box. And we saw his face light up. His whole face was just bright. And so that, to me, that just meant anything because it was my box. So he read my note. And
it's all about Zach.
It's all about me. It's about me. And then we went to Kennedy Plaza and met up with Jess, Alex, and Chris, her friend. And we ended up giving away the rest of our boxes there because we ran into a group of three guys, and they just asked what we were doing. So I went up to them and I said, we are handing out boxes to people that don't have the basic necessities, and just spreading along God's love. So I did that, and they were widely accepting of it, and I didn't really say anything to them, making it a point that they were homeless, but they're like, oh, that's us, we're homeless, and so they will say that they are or they're not, or if they want it or not, so don't try to be too pressuring on it. And they're very slippery. We went by maybe 3 people, and we were going to turn around and come back to them, and they were gone. We tried going down some streets, seeing if they were still there.
That's why I was rushing.
Yeah. So they are slippery, and they will slip out of your fingers. So when you see them, try to get to them as fast as possible. Exactly. All right? But try not to scare them.
I was with Daisha driving around looking for people, and this one woman the second woman that we gave a box to, someone drove by her and told her to get a job, and she was explaining how hard it was to come out like on days because of what people say. Then the first person that we gave a box to, it lit up his face, and he called his wife over and told him what happened, told her what happened.
I found that a little interesting that when we did the skit that I used as an example to, get us going for the boxes, Zach, said, I want to walk by him and say, get a job. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I wasn't sure if people were really that mean, but apparently they are. So I just kind of found that interesting that he ended up seeing an example of something that he thought of,
Our first person, we kind of weren't going after them, but we kind of were just gonna turn around to get back to that first girl we saw. So then we got up I don't know really where we were, but Union Ave, and we saw this dude, and he was just holding a sign, and Daisha was like, give me a box, give me a box. And we're just like, okay. So we handed him a box, and he was so happy that once he opened it while we were driving away, me and my friend Sakari could see him so happy, and right away he called his wife and was like, come over, look what we got. And I don't know, it was just great to see how happy they were. That was amazing. Yeah.
What we really have to underscore is that the difference of this year from last year is adults in this church. So we have to say that, and some of you are sitting here. What happened was we purposely wanted to get this to be a church-wide event. There was an insert in the bulletin, you might have seen it a few weeks, asking you guys to be a part of it, participate, so that it's church-wide, not just the teens. And Mark's class basically just said, you know what, we're going to take this on. And I know there were other adults too, so I apologize if you don't go to Mark's class and you were involved. I'm not going to start naming everybody. But yesterday, we had 14 adults in the kitchen at once. And let me tell you something. It's not just about yesterday. What we experienced over this weekend through the adults that gave their time, either by devotions or making food or serving it or cleaning up afterwards, what it told us was that we weren't alone. It's not just about the teens. It's not just about Storm. It's not just about the Norwood Youth Ministry team. It's about everybody in this church. And that's what is most important. So I just want to thank one more time. You're going to say something? Okay, so I'll just stop talking, then you want to come up here and say something?
Yeah, I had asked him.
Can we just clap for the adults in this church?
Jess asked me yesterday if I would just let everybody know that was not part of this what my experience was. I was fortunate enough to be part of Mark's class and preparing the meal for them, and that was a blessing, just working side by side as a group in the kitchen. And we know that as Baptists, being in the kitchen really binds us together. But more of a blessing for me was doing one of the devotionals with the group yesterday. Forgive me, because I didn't expect to get like this, but it's very touching to me to see people of this age to have a heart for the Lord more than I had at that age, or even years later. And we need to understand how blessed we are as a congregation to have this kind of passion among us. If you were not blessed enough, fortunate enough to participate in any way with 30-Hour Famine this year, I strongly encourage you to find some way to participate next year, because it is a blessing that will bless you over and over. So thank you all.
Thank you.
These are some tremendous children. I can't call them children, the kids, young adults. I hate to call them even kids because they blow us away. I was honored to do a devotion with them. I think I got more out of it than them. Amazing what they can do to take their time. I mean, the young people, it's a weekend, go nuts. And they took 30 hours to concentrate on anything but themselves. I'm just amazed. I was so pleased to be a part of that. To feed them was an honor. To be with them is an honor. And this is our church. It will grow with them. So bless them. And bless you guys for what you've done. It was amazing. Thank you for inviting me to be part of it.
This was my second time doing the 30-hour famine. Last year is my first time as a storm leader, and I was a little nervous. I didn't know, what was going to happen. I didn't know if I could make it 30 hours without eating. But to be honest, that's just something completely silly to even think about. When you get together with these awesome people, you just have so much fun, and we played so many games, and we got to know each other even better than we did, we knew each other before. This year was really fun. I think that everybody really, I know it hit me harder this year, just thinking about how many innocent little children going hungry. I think about my niece, and it breaks my heart to think that if she would ever be starving, or any little child. So I just think that, it's really important to help other people with, giving them food, giving them shelter, cleaning up after them, holding their hand, hugging them, and just loving them. And I know we all love each other very much, this entire church. Everyone that helped cook for us, the food was amazing. It was just filled us up with love and just a lot of support for everybody. And I thought it was really, really great time this year.
So I'm just going to reiterate, being on the evangelism team, I have stood up here and told you about the service project that we came together with the kids to do as a team. And the boxes. Sure, hold the box, it's very heavy. This box is quite completely full. Thank you very much for all the donations and anybody who helped to get them together. This mic is, and we had the kids all get together. We talked about how we were going to handle handing these boxes out. And we actually sat out on the front on the grass yesterday in the nice weather, and they all wrote notes. Something like, "Smile, today is a new day. I hope this makes things a little easier." They put them in the box. But like George said, this is something that we hope will be an ongoing project. There are several boxes left. We started with 46 boxes. We were able to, which surprised me, hand out 30 yesterday. 30?
Yeah,
we handed just about 30 of them out yesterday, which kind of amazed me that we actually found that there were that many people standing on, these were people standing on street corners or down in Kennedy Plaza that were in need of these. So there are several, though, left down in Adams Hall. If you want to take one, we're hoping that this is an ongoing thing. We're giving you a little seed by starting off. Some of the boxes aren't completely full with other things that could be in them. So if you'd like to take one and add it, keep it in your car. Ken asked this morning, what do you think about when you're driving down and you see somebody standing on the street corner, with their sign, "Anything helps, I'm homeless." Do you feel frustrated or you don't know what to do? Some people don't like to give them money because you feel they're going to use it for something inappropriate like drugs or alcohol, stuff like that. So this is why we came together and did this. But so we would hope that everybody or anybody that wants to will do that. And then once you give your box away, find another shoebox and fill it again and keep it going.
A couple of things. It hit me, I heard the story both services that Zach tells. Here they are, handing a box to somebody who's on the street, and someone drives by and says, "Get a job." And I have, confess, maybe you do this, sometimes that thought goes through my mind. Yes? And when I'm hearing this story, the picture in my mind came up and said, if Jesus was driving by, do you think those words, that thought would ever come out of his mouth or in his mind? And see, folks, that's our goal. How do we be like Jesus? How do we represent Jesus? And I got to recognize there's stuff in my heart that I got to get rid of. And I think that's just true for a lot of us. That's part of what that story, I'm going, yeah, sometimes I'm very callous and have, I got to tell you, I have absolutely no clue, as do most of you, what some of those folks have to go through every day. Except for the fact that we have a woman here in our church who was at the earlier service who came up and said, Sue Broder, I've been homeless. And to hear what they were doing and saying, she was so touched and grateful. Now, let me tell you, she can speak to it like we can't, right? She's probably gonna, I gotta say something next week, you know. But that's some of the stuff that's in us that we've got to just recognize. Jesus, you got to take care of some things in me, in us, because if we're going to represent you in serving people, we got to be like you. We've got a ways to go. I am so thankful for a number of reasons of what happened. One is for you guys that are in Mark's class. You know, we're trying to get all of our Sunday school classes, especially the adult classes, to take on and do more than just come here and learn, to take on some projects, to have some fellowship together, to somehow serve somebody else in or outside of the church a couple of times a year and make that and build it. Can you imagine if that was happening in all of our classes, the level of serving that would go up in here. So I want to thank you because you took that on knowing that that was a part of our goal for Sunday school. And oh, you did it so well. Thank you for modeling that for the rest of us. Man, what was I here? There was 14 people in the kitchen. Yep. And there were people serving and people organized. I mean, wow. You know, that was fantastic. So thank you. Hey, how many did we have here for the 30-hour famine? Do you remember? Do you ever think about it? First? Yeah. No, just half. I'm joking. Yes, the total. How many participated totally, some part at least of the weekend?
Yeah, about 27 or 28.
27, 28, you know, 25 to 30 people, right? Yeah, wow. Okay, thank you. You were raising money for this to go to World Vision. Can we, I guess it's over now, we can't give any more, right? So for the next couple of 3 weeks, see one of our youth after the service if you want to contribute, because they will help you know how to do that. There are ways we as a church minister to this area in our church. So one is what was mentioned. There are boxes that were left over, although I was told there might only be like 2 left as of this time. Well, actually, because some were taking more than one, and actually they said, can you put some back? Because we haven't had the whole service to go yet. So they were down to about 2. So in the goal here, just put it in your car, because you never know when God will give you that opportunity. And here it is, and it's in your car already, and you can just hand that off. And that's a part of this ministry that can continue on longer than this weekend. So thank you for that. We were thinking about where do we give the rest of the boxes, and we decided, no, let's leave them here. Let's get more people involved in doing that. So I'm thrilled at how the reaction to that has already been. The other thing is, and some of you may not know this, because we haven't really talked about it much in a few years, but we donate orange juice to the Rhode Island Family Shelter. So that there's a lot of children there. It's a family shelter. And it's been our goal to make sure that all of those families, and especially the children, have orange juice. They don't always have that. People have given to that enough where we had surplus, so we actually began providing milk also for Macaulay House in that fund, but that we can only do that occasionally with the monies that we have there. So what I just want to renew, and maybe this is new to you, but if you want to help that ministry here, because it's all around hunger and homelessness and those things, as you give your offering or as your envelopes, you give with envelopes or whatever, and you want to give to that on any regular basis or as a one-time thing, June just asks that you put OJ Fund on there so that she knows exactly where that's to go, right? Is that good? If you're giving cash, maybe use one of the envelopes there and write OJ Fund. But we have people that give through that on a regular basis so that we can provide that not just once, but throughout the entire year. But it speaks into the same type of ministry. Heavenly Father, as we go from here, we will continue to exalt you. We'll continue to serve you by serving others. We are thankful, God, that you are our God, and you are worthy to be praised. Amen. Amen.